On this week's Rollcast, take a look at what we've been playing. And introducing our sexiest writer, Scott Less Than 3.
Is that well? Hello and welcome to episode 3.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Welcome to episode 4 of the Rollcast, starring Joe.
Hi.
And starring James.
What up?
Welcome, everyone. So, I have been the illustrious third member of this podcast because I am a very busy boy, and we couldn't always get me on, but I'm very excited to be here, so thank you both for having me and letting me crash this podcast almost immediately.
No problem, Scott. It's actually elusive, by the way, not illustrious, but...
Continue. Oh, what did I say illustrious?
You are illustrious.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, God. It's already ruined. Well, we'll try and salvage it over the next potentially 35 to 45 to an hour, depending on what time Joe's takeaway arrives, what time things happen. James, I believe you want to kick this podcast off with talking about PlayStation and the free games that you've got to play over the next few weeks, I guess. Yeah. Unless you've already played them all, I don't know.
Well, I played July's. I've completed both of them. They were Game of Thrones and Until Dawn. If you've played those two.
Sweet. So the Telltale Game of Thrones, right? I think I've done an episode, which it's really fun so far. And Until Dawn, I watched an online playthrough. But I picked the game up because obviously you get your own unique ending, right? So I thought I'll blast through it, put my own little twist on the story, see what ending I get.
Yeah, so I mean, I played both of those games. I reviewed Game of Thrones. It's on the site now, www.tryrolling.com. Please visit the site. Every click matters.
Please.
Yeah, I gave that game an 8.5. I felt like it deserved it. I mean, the only thing that really let the game down is the sense that it kind of funnels you into following the same path no matter what you do, but saying that the story in itself is really good.
Yeah, I do agree that that's kind of a trend with Telltale games where you can make a decision as to whether your Uncle Barry lives or Cousin Jerry lives, but...
Whoa, spoilers!
Oh, Uncle Barry, no.
Uncle Barry.
But that's a problem.
There's not really a drastic ending, is there? Like everyone ends up with just certain characters being alive or dead, right? There's never like my guys ended up in Japan, whereas my people ended up starting a business in like South Carolina or something. Yeah, you never get that kind of difference, do you?
It's really weird in the world of Game of Thrones that you can't go to South Carolina and start a business.
Why can't you go to Japan?
These are the real questions.
How did the engine hold up, James? Because I know that Telltale seemed to get a lot of criticism for their in-game engine.
Well, yeah. To be honest, I didn't touch on it that much, but you're right in saying that a lot of people's criticisms with the game as well is that it looks quite dated. It doesn't hold up that well, but I mean, I didn't have too much of an issue with it. But I mean, I don't want to ruin like the ending or anything of that game for you, Scott. But I mean, that's the experience I had where it was like, the story it is unique and it's like an original take on the show, and I really enjoyed the story because I felt like it fit with the universe and everything that happens in it. It's like, this could actually happen in the show. But it's that like illusion of choice where your choices are choices that you think are making a difference, but are actually you getting the same ending kind of thing.
Yeah, if anything, it just says so and so will remember this, and even though you're like in the moment, in reality, it doesn't really do anything. Like sometimes characters are just destined to be bad or against you or whatever, no matter what choice you make. But I guess that's just Telltale as a whole, right? What was I playing recently? I played the season 2 of Batman recently, and again, it follows the same lines. It's almost like you're on set rails, and you can make a few decisions along the way, but other than that, it does feel pre-planned.
Yeah.
And you just decide what characters live and die, I guess. But the debut to the second season of Telltale's Batman series was really good.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was. What I found disappointing was that the episode 1 is called The Enigma, so that's what I reviewed. It was very. It was Riddler focused. Obviously, it was called The Enigma, but the light was taken away from the Riddler just purely because he almost fell flat for me. I said that in the review. He's not the Riddler that we almost know and love in the rest of the universe, and I know Telltale were taking their own twist on it. But
my favourite Riddler's Jim Carrey, just putting it out
there. One of the worst ones, but we'll let you off. But like the first time, so it's loose spoilers because you've seen this in trailers if you know anything really about the second season. But the first time you sort of meet the Riddler, you have like a hand-to-hand combat fight with him, which didn't really make sense to me because Batman's supposed to be, this 6 foot tall, muscly guy that just beats people into the ground, and the Riddler's usually this like scrawny guy whose main power is his mind. Yet the first time you see the Riddler, you beat up his goons and then you take him on in hand-to-hand combat, and he ends up getting away. Obviously you're not going to catch him in the first 5 minutes, and it just seemed really weird that they lent on that rather than just filling an episode with, say, puzzles and riddles and you having to figure them out. I think I figured out maybe 2 riddles in the whole thing, and even then it's heavily hinted at, right? Like when Telltale just puts you in an open room and you literally just walk around the edge of the room until you see everything.
That's not a puzzle, that's just a click.
Exactly, exactly. You just walk around, you click stuff until you end up getting it. So the main star of the show really is John Doe. So if you don't know who he is, he's technically the Joker, although he's not officially the Joker just yet. You meet him in season 1 in Arkham Asylum, and then there's a choice where you either promise him a favor or you don't. In my playthrough, I ended up promising him a favor, which so far was, it was really intriguing because he is constantly pestering you now, and he's not crazy yet. You can tell like he's still bubbling underneath, but he's kind of being a normal guy, and obviously he's not in prison or anything, so he's just walking around. You keep bumping into him and he's like, oh hey Bruce, and you're like, I'm happy that he's there, but in the game I'm really anxious and on edge because I know he could snap at any minute.
So is he like Telltale's own take on the Joker and like in no way sort of canon, I guess, or is he like, do you know what I mean, is he like the legit version?
He's
Telltale's take on him.
At the minute, like everything is Telltale's own spin. DC have said none of it's canon, so they can do what they want. So in the game, he's just called John Doe. Like he's not called anything else. He's not called the Joker. And even then, that was the name that the Arkham Asylum nurse, I think, gave him. Because he just wandered into the asylum one day without a name and didn't know who he was. So obviously we know he's going to become the Joker. He's got that signature laugh. He's got green hair. He's got that big smile. He looks like the Joker. We know it's going to happen. But it's kind of great seeing him evolve like on the fly. Like instead of the Joker being mysterious and constantly against Batman, I'm almost like his best friend at the minute. Or like he's that guy that you see at parties or in school that you'd be like, oh, that guy's going to talk to me again. And you're like, hey, how you doing? Apologies if anyone from school is listening to this now and you've just become aware of what I think to you. But it's really great. That's one of the highlights I said in the review. It's really great having this character along the way, and you know he's going to snap at any minute. There are other characters as well, like Lucius Fox played a really big part and was again stole the limelight away from the Riddler. So it was a good episode.
I don't think I'd like that though. Like, I mean, for me, what Arkham did this really well. The Batman Arkham series, like. The Riddler, the draw of the Riddler is the fact that you never see him. That's his draw. Like he's always displayed in like spray painted question marks or like Riddler trophies, and then you've got to solve his puzzles in order to like get the chance of a face to face meeting. Like meeting him face to face straight away and having to beat him up just doesn't really fit his character for me.
Yeah, that's what ruined it. And I guess with the Arkham games, they kind of juggled all of the villains at once, right? Like you could go and fight a different villain, whereas with Telltale, they're having to tackle it episode by episode. Yeah, so it was a shame that in the Riddler specific episode, we didn't really see the Riddler that I'm guessing a lot of people when they play are gonna want to see. Like you want those riddles, you want the puzzles, and you didn't really get that.
Yeah. I guess in a Telltale game as well, like Joe said, it'd be hard to actually implement puzzles as such.
Yeah, I guess so, because Telltale's sort of open to everyone, right? Like you can't put in an insanely difficult riddle and give it to like an 8-year-old who's loosely interested in Batman to try and solve, because you alienate people, don't you?
But then again, you could make it optional, couldn't you?
Yeah, I guess so. Or I guess like usually you're with, say, like Commissioner Gordon or someone like that, and if a certain time span went by, Commissioner Gordon could drop a hint or could say, perhaps it's this, like there's ways around it. But I believe the next spoilers, like obviously I'm not going to spoil anything. The next episode focuses on, say, specifically Harley Quinn.
Pick away, guys. So I will be a second.
Of course.
Right, I can either edit this out or not. We'll see.
The next episode's on Harley Quinn, so I think the Riddler sort of like lost his chance to be the main guy,
He lost his chance.
Wow. Well, that's definitely getting edited out. My word.
What?
I'm trying to think of a sick segue to get us into Grim Fandango.
Well, no, I mean, for me, like the other game in the PlayStation Plus for July was Until Dawn, and that had, to me, it had like a straight contrast in the choice system of a Telltale game, in that they were both in a story sense were great in their own way.
Yeah.
But Until Dawn, that the choices in that game felt more permanent. Well, they are more permanent than in the Telltale one. Like if you play the game badly on purpose on Until Dawn, all of the characters will die.
Yeah, like they just walk into spikes and stuff like that, don't they?
Yeah.
Like you miss up a footing.
If you intentionally want to kill them, they will die.
Yeah. That's really good then, because you get proper... It's difficult though, right? Like, if Telltale were to start making games like Until Dawn where everyone dies and the story's sort of like severed because no one lives... It ruins what Telltale's about, right? Like it's good that we can have different games and companies that can do different things. Yeah, people would definitely kick off. So it's good that we can almost have both at the same time. Like we can have an Until Dawn every now and then we obviously get consistent Telltale stories in different universes that deliver.
I honestly think it works so well for Until Dawn because it's a horror game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because then you can be that gruesome and graphic and not really care, can't you?
Yeah, you get the option of killing your cast off.
Yeah, exactly. I downloaded it because it was free, and I'm really excited to play through. As I said earlier on, I never played it the first time around. I just watched a YouTuber go through it because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, but I'm super stoked to go through and sit down, almost like a movie night, just sit down with like some food, some... I don't know, like popcorn, even though I don't like popcorn. Yeah, it's like a classic movie from like the 80s, isn't it? A horror movie.
Yeah.
Have you played through it then, James?
Yeah, I've played it to completion. I mean, I've even gone back through it to like change some events that I wasn't entirely happy with.
That's what I was going to ask. How replayable is it? So you go through multiple times, do you?
It is. It does actually have good replay value because, I mean, you can have like a completely evil playthrough where you're like, I'm killing everyone. And then you can have a playthrough where you're like, I really want everybody to stay alive. Or you could do what I did at first and be like, nah, this bitch is dying.
Just because you don't like someone.
This one person has to die. So, yeah, I mean, you can play through it. And I mean, like I say, every action does have different consequences in the game, which is really cool. I mean, yeah, I had a ton of fun playing it. It was one of those games, actually, that after downloading for free and playing through it, it surprised me that much in how good it is. I would have actually paid money for it, and I was kind of annoyed with myself that I didn't buy it when it came out. But then I was like, well, I got it for free, so
Yeah, you can't really complain.
Well,
the PlayStation lineup's been pretty decent recently, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, last month's free game is Just Cause 3. And that's
Really?
like... That's a quite a big game, actually. I mean, it only came out a year ago, which makes me question its sales if it's already free. But, I mean, you know, it's a big open world, over the top. Like you say, it's got a big 80s flick, loads of explosions and people parachuting out of helicopters and stuff. So, I mean, I haven't played that yet, but I've downloaded it. So, you know,
I do remember at the time it came out, a lot of people were complaining at PS4 specific load times. So perhaps that never got fixed, and maybe that's still an issue, which is why it's free.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine the load times being quite long, actually, because, I mean, that isn't Just Cause a game where once it's loaded up once, it's loaded up, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, like you just...
World, so.
Yeah, exactly, and then pretty much everything's destructible. Like, I don't think you can bring buildings down, but like cars and certain statues and stuff like that, you can just demolish completely. Like the tether system as well.
Yeah, the best thing I saw from Just Cause 3 on YouTube is like a guy who strapped like some rockets to a cow, and the cow just launches it. Yeah, I've definitely got to do that.
Well, there we go. We know exactly what you're going to be doing over the next few weeks, don't we?
Sending cows flying. Yeah,
those poor cows.
So many cows.
So, to attempt like the most ambitious segue possible,
I'm going to deny the segue.
No. I was going to say, cows, after the rockets have been attached to them, die, right? The same way
that's a stretch.
Manny from Grim Fandango is dead.
Wow.
Right? Are we accepting that segue? I personally am happy with it.
Well, I mean, 10 out of 10 for the effort, but
can we end the podcast? Guys, I gotta go. I'm busy.
Joe can just edit me out, and it's just silence on my part, and then we just suddenly skip to like COD, and everyone's like, "Wait, what?"
What? No, I mean this 3 month on PlayStation, it's another AAA actually. It's Infamous Second Son.
Ooh.
So they are bringing out the big guns, really, Sony.
I think that's another one I'm gonna have to.
AAA, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not mucking about.
I'm really surprised. Like Sony, like in the past year or so, have been mainly focused on indie games, but now they seem to be bringing out the AAA.
Yeah, they got a lot of stick for it, didn't they?
It could be due to the price increase though on the PlayStation Plus, but I mean, you know.
I mean, that sold quite well, didn't it? Infamous Second Son.
Yeah, I mean, I've downloaded that as well. I want to play that game. But yeah, I mean, I've not seen a lot about it. All I know is that you can, from the other Infamous games, you can shoot electricity and stuff, and you've got superpowers.
So those cows don't stand a chance.
No, you can kill cows. Confirmed. Yes, Scott, you may segue.
Fantastic. So again, going from a game that you would like to play in Infamous to a game that you actually have played in Grim Fandango, right?
Yes.
You played that game? How long did it take you to finish?
2
Because that's an old game. 2 years. Joe, have you finished it?
I have never played it.
Yeah, well, I'm in the exact same boat. I bought it on my iPhone, and then I think I got locked out of my iCloud and never finished it. And then I also bought it on PC, I think, and again, like never finished it. I think I played the first hour, and because it's quite old, there were certain points where, in fact, no, I remember the exact point. I had to go and speak to the manager or something, but I couldn't get in his office, and that was it. Like, I could not do it. I would go into a car park, and there was like a huge guy.
Section, Scott.
Yeah, literally the opening section. Like, there was a guy in a car park. He wouldn't do anything. There was a lady at a desk who would just tell me to like go away. I could leave the hotel and go like down the street, and there was a parade. I could go climb up a handkerchief thing. That's all. I could not get in the boss's office. Could not. So, James, did you get past that bit?
I did, yes. It took me 2 years, but yes. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that I've had downloaded on my system for, obviously, ages. And it's been one of those games, you know, where you come back to it, play a chapter, forget about it for a few months,
good
and
like
then come
that,
back to it. Yeah. I mean, I definitely got a lot out of the game because it took me so long to.
Did you
to
cheat?
actually finish. For some of the bits, yes, I used a guide.
Wow.
Yeah, I think personally with those kinds of games, where it's like point and click, and you've got to like figure something out. Like your inventory's full of stuff, and you like, oh, I've got to use the cassette tape on the door handle to wind it backwards or something. That never like appears to me. Like that path is always just locked away.
That's partly the reason why it took me 2 years as well, because it was like whenever I'd finished a chapter on Grim Fandango, it was like I was wiping the sweat from my forehead and I was like, whew, thank God that's
off to bed
now. I'll come back to it in a year. Because it is really hard, but in the sense that you've got to have the right thing like in your hand and click on the right thing. And sometimes it can be really hard to even see the thing that you're supposed to be clicking, never mind, work out the puzzle. So
I guess the time it came out, though, those kind of games were quite hot, right? You get like the Monkey Island games. Yeah. Again, all games I've never played, but I suppose at that time you probably would have played the others and you would have picked this up immediately and been away with it.
Like if you've never played one of those types of games like I hadn't before, you are going to struggle, and it'll probably take you 2 years to finish like me, but that's not to say I didn't have fun with it. Like the story is really, really good. It's a well-made game. It's just incredibly hard.
Yeah.
How long does it take? Like actually play time wise?
I think you could actually, if you were speed running it, like probably, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Wow, that quick.
All in the challenge.
Yeah. So it is literally all in knowing what to do, what things are interactable, if you know what I mean.
I might just watch someone play through it on YouTube. James, you should have recorded yourself. I would have watched you.
No, if I recorded myself, it'd have taken 2 years and there'd probably been a lot of spoiling.
Yeah. It's just forever in your YouTube watch later list.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like I say, the game was really good, and if you like a good story about an undead cartoon skeleton, then you're going to like that.
Speaking of undead cartoon skeletons...
Is this another segue?
It might be.
Are we nicknaming you Segway?
Just call me Segway. One character who isn't an undead skeleton is Batman.
He has a skeleton though.
Yeah, underneath, but he's not undead. I probably should have just segued onto Injustice when I was talking about the Batman Telltale series, shouldn't I? That would have been easier. But yeah, Injustice 2 is a game that I am reviewing. It's taken me a little while longer, just purely because I thought I was an avid fighting player. Fighting genre player. I had Tekken. I had Tekken 2 back on the PlayStation 1, and I've not touched it since. So I thought, surely not much has changed. I can still button mash. Let me tell you guys and girls, whoever's listening, a lot has changed. So it's off the bat, it's a stunning game, like completely beautiful. The background areas, like the arenas, I believe they're called, are incredible. Like the attention to detail is brilliant. When you obviously do use the arena to your advantage to like whack the opponent off, or you can do the screen transitions. So say if you're Superman, you can punch someone through a wall and then you'll end up in a completely different area. The whole game is completely stunning. All the characters look and feel great. You feel really powerful. The only downside I'm personally having is the fact that there are like 5 pages of moves to memorize per character. And it's not just like up, down, left, right, square or something. It's very specific moves, and you have to be perfect with the way you press them. Just like holding right on the analog stick to say like move towards your opponent is technically the way of starting certain moves. So say if you were to then press X at the same time, it would initiate a move. So I find even just transitioning around the fighting area quite difficult because I'm useless at it. I can't remember the moves. I'm dreadful. Did you say you played it?
I have played it. No, I mean, like you said, I'm an avid button masher, so I mean, I'd probably struggle.
Yeah.
I'm someone that remembers a single combo that I love, and then I just spam that.
Just spam that. I have done that a few times.
Yeah.
I can remember in Tekken, the ogre, he had a move where he flew up into the air and breathed fire on the arena, and that was like my OP go-to move.
That was just the go-to. I think there was a guy in like Tekken 1 or 2 called Eddie or something, and he would just do like street moves and do like a kick that you couldn't block.
He does handstands and he swings his legs around, and it's impossible to dodge. Button mashing,
So that's kind of how I felt when I decided to take my my battles online. I was hoping I'd play a load of like-minded individuals that were fairly useless at the game, but I just got my ass handed to me time and time again. The main difference from the first Injustice, I didn't play the first one. It continues the story of where Superman has one bad day, ironically, where the Joker tricks him into killing Lois and killing the entirety of Metropolis, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So then Superman goes bad, and you have like this weird. You have two universes of all of the heroes coming together, and I think both Batmans are good. One of the Supermen is good and one is bad. Then you've got like one Flash and like a yellow Flash, and both of them are bad. I think it gets really confusing, but it's a really gripping story because it's a great way of seeing these heroes play bad guys or like properly smash each other's heads in like Atlantis and stuff. And that you can also now have like armor sets. So instead of just having ordinary Batman, you can unlock armor sets through, I think, microtransactions, but you can also just unlock them through playing the game as well. I can't remember. Obviously, I've not bought any, so I can't remember if it's specifically microtransactions. But like you get it through in-game coins that you earn through fighting. Then you open like a chest, and then you might get like super nightmare gloves or something, and then your Batman's got sick gloves on.
As long as
so you can customize the characters.
I don't mind microtransactions as long as they're cosmetic and as long as I can earn them in the game itself.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think it is a case of you can still earn everything in game. It's just like if you do pop a little bit of money in there, you can get them a little faster. Which is a pain in the ass, but I guess it's the way the world is now, right?
It shouldn't be. You're still paying 40 quid for the game, 60 quid for the game.
True.
But...
That's a good point, actually.
Game.
And they have locked quite a few characters behind DLC as well. Initially, I thought it was a case where if you were to play the game a lot, you could then just buy the characters. But as far as I'm aware, I think the players are just the characters, say like Red Hood, are locked behind the DLC.
And you have to buy them.
If you want to use Red Hood, you've got to buy them, as far as I'm aware, which is a real shame. But yeah, the review is still in progress, just purely because I had such a torrid time with it to begin with, and I want to make sure I get it all spot on. But if anyone listening is thinking about it, I'd say absolutely jump on board. It might be a Marmite situation where you either love it or hate it. Because I know for the longest time I was sat on the sidelines just waiting to jump in and play. Because I thought I'd button mash and get away with it. And now I've realised how competitive it really is. I'm still kind of on the fence as to whether I'd say get Injustice 3. But I've certainly enjoyed the time I've had with Injustice 2 so far.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you've just been talking about Injustice, and all that's really happened for me is you've got me hyped for Tekken.
Yeah.
I want to play Tekken.
Wow.
I am a big fan of Tekken.
Tekken is always the more technically impressive of the two. Injustice is fun because it's fucking Superman punching fucking Batman.
Yeah, all characters that aren't usually in the limelight can shine, what's her name? Black Widow? White Widow?
Black Widow is a character, I believe.
I think so. I can't. Either way, there is this blonde Black Canary. Yes, Black Canary. I think she's dating Green Lantern. No, Green Arrow. See, this is how confusing it gets. Black Canary. I think that's her name. Like that's a character I'd never even heard of. But during the campaign, you get to play as her at one point, And she was so much fun to like maneuver, and her moves were really cool. So since then, I've just been playing as her, like properly. I thought I'd just jump in, play as Batman, and be like, "Oh, Batman this, Batman that," or maybe play as the Joker. But it's really good in getting you to know like the wider extended universe of DC characters. So that's another positive for me. Online servers all seem great. Yeah,
I still want to play Tekken though.
I think you're just a Tekken
But
fanboy.
is Black Canary in Tekken, James?
I've not played Tekken since Tekken 3. I just want to hop on Tekken 3.
Speaking of which, I would suggest the new game. I've played it.
Oh, is it good?
It is. It's exactly the same as all the rest of the Tekkens, but that's their problem, isn't it? There's barely any evolution.
You heard it here first. New Tekken, the same as the others, but play anyway.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Wait till it's on offer to buy.
Yeah, buy it when it's on sale. It's my.
Is Yoshimitsu as badass as he was?
He always is. He can do helicopters still.
I love Yoshimitsu. I love him. Even when he gets hit, he makes a cool noise.
He is my favourite.
All I remember the Tekken noises were just and then suddenly like fall over.
Oh no, people who remember Yoshimitsu, when he got hit, he made a really cool like "oh" noise, and I mean that was like
it's clearly resonated with you after all these years.
It has. I mean, he was my favourite character then. I might pick up the new game.
Clearly, you were getting hit too much, James. If that was all you remember.
Yeah, I was. But you know,
all James remembers was his character getting beaten.
Yeah,
he loves that.
I didn't mind. I spent my time like doing that thing where you used to sit on the floor and meditate and then teleport.
It's still got that. You can meditate. You can do the helicopter. You can walk on the steps.
Yes. Yes. Can you do the thing where he kills himself?
Oh, you can. You can. My favourite way to start the game.
It's so good.
You only do that when you know that you're definitely going to beat the other person. So you just kill yourself for the first round. As a kind of the dominance kind of thing. You know, establish dominance before you win the game.
Yeah. Scott's probably not going to know what we're talking about.
I absolutely no idea.
There's a Tekken character that can stab himself with a sword and kill himself. As one of his
just to throw the round for a laugh.
Yeah, just because.
That's ballsy.
And you can
That's really
stab
ballsy.
other people through it. So if you if they're next to you, you can stab yourself and kill them with it. It's a really shit move. And they probably have to stand still for you to hit them, but you know.
But it's there. It's there if you want it.
I want to know if a competitive kind of tournament has ever been won with that move, is what I want to know.
If you've ever won a competitive tournament with that move, please write in.
Yeah.
If anyone knows one that has been.
I want to see that.
Also.
Send us the YouTube link.
Please do. Joe, any more games that you've been playing recently?
I was going to segue. I was planning on a segue. God,
you've ruined it.
Oh,
damn it, James!
You ruined everything.
I know. I'm gonna shut up
now. A game I recently finished was called This War of Mine, and essentially it's a survival game based in a war-torn city. Now, normally in these kind of games, you are the badass. You have the guns. You have the superpowers or whatever the game wants you to have to be the main character of the story. In this, you're a normal civilian, or a normal group of civilians. So you start off with literally nothing in a city where you are surrounded by people with guns, you are surrounded by army, military kind of thing, and you're just given a house kind of thing. So you start in a house, and you have to build up your house, you build up your defences kind of thing, and you go out each night to scavenge, to try and find food, try and find bandages, try and find antibiotics and things for when your characters get ill.
Is it like a first-person thing, or is it like top-down?
It's kind of a side-scroller, so you click where your characters go and what they do. Basically, it's just a game that shows you how shit war actually is. Because it's pretty fucking hard. Most of your characters will die. It's one of those kind of games where you just try and keep as many alive as you can.
It's one that really hits home as well, which is kind of good, right? Because you get a lot of games that almost glorify war and people have a lot of fun with, but it's good to play a game like Valiant Hearts was a free game with gold like last year, and it was set in like the First World War or the Second World War. And it was a similar premise where you're not the main character with like a gun, you're kind of just in the backgrounds. And it was really impactful. I remember tearing up at the end of that game.
Yeah, it's really the same. You get quite emotional about some parts. There are things like you can help your neighbours, or children will come up to you and ask for food. And you can choose whether to say no or.
Oh no! And then I'm assuming you see the ramifications of that later on.
Yeah, well, your characters have morale and things as well. So if you help people and those people like helping people, they'll be happy. If you leave these kids to die, suddenly everyone's sad. They're walking around with their heads hung down.
God,
and
this
it affects your
sounds
chance
brutal.
to survive. So yeah, people will move slower if they're sad, that kind of thing. And when you're trying to scavenge and there are people with guns walking around you that will shoot you if they find you, it's kind of bad to be, sobbing in a cupboard.
There's so like potentially decisions you make right at the beginning of the game are going to impact you later on if you've destroyed your morale throughout the game.
Exactly.
And you're going to continue to lose more people.
So kind of taking the emotions aside, is the best way to actually play the game, like in terms of a survival point, just to play it like an absolute hard ass, like don't care about anybody apart from yourself kind of thing.
Exactly. The best way to play the game is to be completely heartless.
I suppose that hits home even more though, right? Because then you realise that it is almost survival of the fittest. You need to put yourself first, no matter how hard it can be.
That said, keeping your characters happy is important. But as you get on through the game, there's a limited amount of locations you can visit, and you start running out of resources. So you start running out of food, you start running out of water, you even start running out of wood and things, because you have to keep yourself warm during the winter. So you start doing more and more extreme things. You'll rob the family next door. You'll kill the grandma that was living with her child and take the food from her fridge. So it starts off, you're nice, you scavenge from places where no one else is. Then you start scavenging from the homeless. You kill a couple of bandits because they were attacking you anyway, so it's fine, right? Is it?
Yeah, maybe.
And then you move slowly further as you get more and more desperate.
Can you do really evil things like eat people?
No, James, no.
Wow, James, what the hell, man?
Wow. Can't believe you went there.
Well, I don't know how desperate the people in this game get. Come on.
Not that desperate, James.
Clearly
That's
not.
bang out of order.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I would rate that game very highly. It came out either last year or the year before, but if you haven't played it yet and you're up for a kind of survivally emotional PC game, I would highly recommend that. That's one of my favourite games.
Oh, will you be doing a review on that game? Just because I would be interested in reading more about it.
I will be in the future. Yeah, I will do a review on it at some point once I've finished a couple more campaigns. There's different ways you can play it. So I've just finished my first campaign, but there's one where I'm going to play with a family and a kid as well. So I didn't have a kid in the other one. Obviously, kids make things harder because they can't do shit because they're useless.
Slow you down.
Eat them, right, James?
Exactly.
Well, they're the smallest. You eat the big guy, is what you do.
Tastiest.
eat the big guy in the
corner.
Whoa! What? Oh dear.
Whoa!
Oh dear.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
I'm recording that one.
Remember to head to tryrolling.com, guys.
Keeping that as evidence for the podcast.
Tryrolling.com. Yeah. James thinks kids are tasty.
Oh no, this is being twisted in all sorts of ways.
Oh dear. James has no connection with Joe or myself whatsoever.
James looks at a kid, he starts salivating.
His words are his own,
it's
not the words of all of us.
Goodbye, everyone.
One thing I would say, guys, you have to edit this out, Joe.
Speaking of World War II and people with guns.
What? We're just talking about people dying, James.
And I know, we were talking about how emotional it was.
This time you're killing soldiers and Nazis, so it's okay, right?
What's the soldiers have families? Nazis have families.
In World War II.
Not in World War II. So no one had... You heard it here first. No one in World War II had families. James, you're just digging a deeper and deeper pit.
In Call of Duty, come on, it's multiplayer.
Okay, we'll let you off. I know how much you love Call of Duty, so go on. Tell me how good this Call of Duty is.
To be honest, it was weird because obviously you know the outcry for a boots on the ground, old school Call of Duty. It was there. I was
one of those people.
Yeah, you were
crying from the tallest thing.
I can't argue with the setting. The sights and sounds are on point. You know, the game is what it promised to be, and it is fun to play. But I had a bad experience when I first played it. I was like, oh man, you know, this feels like Advanced Warfare but without the jetpacks.
Oh no.
In a different setting. But then when I actually played it some more and started to get more into it, I was like, no, you know.
Okay, so it recovered.
It grew on me. It was a Call of Duty where it was like, okay, so it's World War II, and I, you know, at first I was like, not really feeling it, but as I progressed more into it and learned more about like the division system that they've added and the weapons and all the abilities and things like that, as I started to get more into it, I kind of, you know, wanted to play more and ended up enjoying it in the end.
That's what I'm really glad to hear, because I've abstained from Call of Duty since Black Ops 2, I think, and even that was 2050, and that was, I mean, the year it was set, not like the year it came out. So that was set in like 2050, and that's when I was kind of like, I don't like this future stuff. And then
for me, it was a really good game, but yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, because that's when it began to step away from it being modern warfare, and it was like, okay, here's a few quirky, spacey things. Then I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that game. I loved the zombies mode. I enjoyed playing with friends. I enjoyed league plays, like the competitive aspect. But I really jumped off after that. Got into Battlefield a little bit.
To, strap a rocket to its ass, literally.
Exactly. That's when I was like, nope. Jumped into Battlefront for a little bit of Battlefield. But really, I have had a COD-shaped hole in my life. So I'm super excited to jump onto COD this fall.
I do think it'll fill it, because it did grow on me to the point where after the beta finished, I was like, it did leave a hole. So, I mean, for me, that meant that the game must have been fun if I wanted to continue playing it.
I am still skeptical.
That's good.
I am
going
to be skeptical of COD.
I was first, but it did grow on me. And I mean, I'm interested to see what they do with zombies as well.
I will probably be one of those that waits until after it's out and after people have
see what the reviews are.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, the beta was fun to play. They added a new game mode as well, which was really interesting. It's called War Mode. So what that is essentially is it's an objective-based game mode. It's probably the most objective-based game mode in Call of Duty history. Basically what it is you take turns playing as the Allies and then the Axis on well, it was just one map in the beta. But basically what the objective is if you play as the Axis, you have to defend certain points and you have to stop the Allies from advancing. But if you're playing on the Allies team, you've got to break into the German stronghold. It's like basically like playing campaign but in multiplayer. You've got to break into the Axis stronghold, then you've got to push them back to the bridge, repair the bridge, progress past the bridge, and then escort your tank to the kind of like the finish line.
So it
sounds Overwatchy.
The artillery guns.
Yeah, Overwatch or Battlefield.
Yeah, so I mean, it felt like a really like almost like a cinematic experience in multiplayer, which Call of Duty's never had before. Really, it's more or less just been like, you are a guy, kill this guy. Whereas this was like, you were fighting.
Very arcadey, right?
Yeah. Well, it isn't. Well, it is a very like arcadey based shooter, but I mean, this game mode felt like you had like a common purpose and you had to get this objective completed together. And for me, that was really fun to play as well. It was different, definitely different.
I am interested to see that because I know Battlefield does have that kind of thing, but it would be good to see Call of Duty's take on it.
Yeah, I mean, it played well, to be honest.
They've got to step up.
You can still run and gun, but I mean, working together to get the job done always seemed to be the way forward.
That you had 90% of the Bob the Builder theme tune done there. You just got like 90% of the Bob the Builder.
Working together.
But like that's you said working together to get the job done.
Bob
like,
and
you said
the gang.
That perfect.
So much fun.
So we know why James is excited now.
Amazing.
He's going to start his Bob the Builder clan.
Yep.
I'll join it.
Oh, yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. Well,
so, yeah,
unfortunately, I think I hear my friend downstairs. So we might have to say our goodbyes.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
No, not right now. Like, Joe will have to
Goodbye.
edit this bit out and we'll have to find a way of closing it. Well, thank you for potentially saving Call of Duty for me, James.
Well, it wasn't me, but yeah, cool.
I'm going to give you some credit. One thing you can't save, though, James, is the podcast from ending.
No.
Is that the best segue of the night?
You are the king.
I'm impressed by that one, actually. I like that one.
Thanks, everyone. So this has been episode 4, right? Episode 4?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more in the pipeline very soon. Obviously we'll all be working on our own things as well, so we can be back in maybe a week or whenever we can all be free again with more reviews, more news, hopefully, because it's been quite a quiet few weeks in terms of news and announcements and stuff like that. But thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you, Joe, for recording and helping us edit. And
Aye, sir.
Being here. Thank you, James, for talking about Call of Duty in a short space of time. I was expecting like 20 minutes to be taken up, but you've done well. So thank you both, and thank you everybody for listening. Do we all say goodbye now? I think we do.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next time on the Rollcast.
Bye, Rollcast.
That's it. Perfect ending.